is going on, everybody, and welcome to the Wednesday edition of the Stokastic NHL Strategy Show. I'm your host, Josh Harris. Had a 8-gamer last night, 6-gamer tonight. Colorado on this slate. They are very expensive. After that, there really isn't a ton of expensive stuff. Last night was pretty good for me. I used that Devils third line in a scramble after Mikko Rantanen got ruled out, so that was nice. Jason Robertson had 2 goals and 9 shots on goal. Brendan Hagel had a hat trick, so you needed something from Tampa, something from Dallas. I don't even know if there was like an elite goalie play last night.
Nashville too, right? O'Reilly and Forsberg both had 3-point games. I think that top line had something like 80 DK points or something last night.
Yeah, they were optimal. So, yay. Chalk Nashville optimal means you're never going to win the top prize if you're me. But I got to get this win. Got second in the lotto last night for $4,000. Used Nashville, slam some chalk together. Sometimes that's how it goes. He's on a 1 lineup guy, so that wasn't his only lineup, obviously. But we're back at it here tonight. GPPs lacking, but what can you do? We're not going to cry about it. Joining me to break it down here tonight, Big Country, Slim Cliffy, what's going
on? Not a whole lot. Interesting slate last night. Nashville, that top line certainly did work. We talked about Buffalo yesterday. Josh Doan did end up on the top line, but it was the Noah Östlund line that absolutely went nuts last night. Consta Helenius, 3-point bonus in the first period. So he had a pretty big game. I was watching Montreal last night. I mean, listen, Minnesota's missing their entire second line. No Jonas Brodin playing back-to-back on the road. Montreal just kind of manhandled them. I know it was only 4-3, but it probably should have been like 5-2 or 6-2. Had the absolute worst penalty against Lane Hudson you might ever see in your life. Called for tripping. The guy was about 3 feet away from him. NHL refereeing at its finest, but that was last night. Tonight is tonight. We do have 6 games. We were talking a bit before the show, Calgary's at home tonight on a 6-game slate, which means there's going to be ownership on the Flames. There always is because of their price. But there's nothing that's really super chalky tonight, at least compared to the top 2 stack. Obviously, Colorado's in a great spot. We'll get to that in a second. But there are, I think, any number of ways you can go tonight and kind of justify it because there's no, even Calgary to an extent doesn't have the ownership that we sometimes see on them, single digit. For the lines at home on a 6-game slate is not that bad. I think it's also how the lines are constructed is part of a factor there. But I think the slate is pretty much wide open, and especially if you don't play Colorado, which, we'll get to that in a second. But slate's pretty wide open, and I like those kinds of slates.
Yeah. Unless you fade Colorado and they have a 90-point first period, which is always within realm of possibilities when you're playing the Ducks. But we'll get into it. Team Sweden down bad. They are, you would think the Hughes brothers are Swedish with how many injuries they got racking up. But let's get into this slate. Detroit Red Wings with a 3 total. Heading into Toronto. They have a 3.1, but honestly, if you play them, they'll probably score 0. Detroit going Larkin, Raymond, Casper, Kopp, Kane, DeBrincat. Toronto going Matthews, Domi, McMahon, Tavares, Nyes, Michelli. That Nyes stuff, it just the other night really highlights the problem with the NHL. There's plenty of problems with the NHL, but how do you not have set rosters before the game starts? Nyes went from a scratch to in to a scratch to in. It's I don't know if anybody's watched a baseball game, but they exchange lineup cards before the game starts. There's probably a better system than the slapdick shit that they're doing right now, but it is what it is. I'm not going to cry over spilt milk, even though I just have been crying. But on the Detroit side, Cop, Kane, DeBrincat, 16,500, 16.1% top two, 17.1% projected ownership. Like, listen, they're their best 5-on-5 line right now. I get it. But 17% ownership is a lot here when you can get Larkin, Raymond, Casper for $500 less and 1.8% projected. Top two's, much lower. One, because Casper's had an atrocious season. But like Andrew Kopp, Marco Casper, it's like the Spider-Man gif, it's like, hey. And Larkin's numbers with Raymond are much better than Larkin with not Raymond. So like they'll avoid the top line probably. I don't know. Like it doesn't really matter. Like the Matthews line hasn't been great defensively. Tavares line, not exactly world beaters defensively. It's like, yeah, they were way worse at the beginning of the season. Now they're middle of the pack. But if you're going to give me middle of the pack, like Larkin and Raymond against the Leafs, against the Matthews line that's below league average defensively, I'm interested. You get both of those guys on the top power play. Like, I guess if you wanted to leave off Casper and add in JVR or something, if you don't want to go all the way up to Van Riemsdyk to make it like 17,300, that's fine. But with the ownership, like that stark of a difference, I'm just going to go down to Larkin, Raymond instead of, Cop, Kane, DeBrincat. Like 17% is just a lot there. So I'll take the lower ownership, go to Larkin and Raymond. On the Toronto side, like that Matthews line's coming in 15.8% top two, 15.3% ownership. Tavares line, 6.2% top two, 10.3% projected ownership. Like that's not awful negative leverage on a 6-game slate. It's still not ideal, but it's not like it's a great power play matchup. Like the Wings penalty kill is actually kind of improved. I guess it's like they were like Minnesota Wild bad last year. So like any improvement is good. It's not like, the Toronto power play is like super mega much wow. But like since Michelli's gone there, like it has improved. So I don't mind that second line. But I'm probably going to the top line, even though they're going to see Seider and Evansson. Like, I'm not super thrilled about the Leafs, let's be honest. 15% Matthews line that isn't correlated at all in 140 minutes, 3 expected goals, 4.3 actual. Like, they've been fine. I'm not super thrilled about it. But it's not like there's a stark difference in ownership like the Detroit lines. So, if I had to go to a Toronto line, it would be that top line. I don't think I'm going to play them at 15%, but it is my preferred line. If you want to go to Tavares, Nyes, Michelli, because they avoid Edmondson and Seider, they get middle 6 matchups. They get the second and third pairs. Like, that's fine. I just don't really want to play a negatively leveraged Toronto line without Matthews. So by default, I'd go to Toronto 1. I'm more in on the Detroit side, but honestly, I don't love this game.
Yeah, the thing is like I think there are like 8 lines between like 12 and 14 or 15K here tonight that if you need a line that price range, you don't necessarily have to go to Toronto to. And like, listen, like John Tavares had a good game against Minnesota, 1 goal on 6 shots. Going back 27 games, which is a third of the season, he has 16 points and 2.1 shots per game. Like he, for a long time now, that's going back almost 2 months. He hasn't really done a whole lot. They've said Matthew Nyes is playing injured. Like he's playing through some sort of lower body injury. And I like Michelli, but he's not good enough to, elevate one guy that's in a big slump and another guy that's playing hurt. So where there's just a bunch of options, and this isn't really a good power play spot for Toronto because you're right about the Detroit penalty kill. Like over the course of the season, that Red Wings penalty kill, 20th by goals against per 60 on the PK. But considering where they were last year, like you mentioned, they were like turnstile horrific bad last year. Like, they would make the Seattle Kraken look competent on the penalty kill. So, and, Detroit doesn't take a lot of penalties either. Detroit's at 2.6 times shorthanded per game over the last 5 weeks. It's one of the 10 lowest rates in the league. Toronto doesn't draw a lot of power plays either. Like, it's not a great power play spot. I don't really care about the Leafs power play. Like, it's nice to have for a line that price, but it's not something that's going to make me jump all over Toronto here tonight, or that Toronto second line. So I'm out on the Tavares line. Like, the Matthews line, if I'm playing one of the 2 top 6 lines in Toronto, I'm going to the Matthews line. Like, for as much as John Tavares has slumped, Austin Matthews has gone in the complete other direction. His last 25 games, 3.8 shots per game with 16 goals. That's like a 54-goal pace or something like that. He's the only guy on his line on the top power play unit, but, they're generating pretty well offensively as well. I was looking, that top line, since Troy Stecher got there, it's been 30 games now, 3 expected goals for per 60 minutes. McMahon has been productive. He's getting good ice time. I mean, Domi's bad, but what else is new? So, I think for me, it's Toronto 1. I'm going to be honest. What kind of stuck out to me in this game for the Leafs is the third line of, assuming it's going to be Robertson, Roy, and Cowan. There's always, like you said, there could be shenanigans with the Leafs lineup. It happened just last game, but that Toronto third line, 2.9 expected goals for per 60. Cowan, not super productive, but 5 points in his last 10 games, playing like 12, 13 minutes a game. That's pretty good. Nick Robertson is, one of the top 30 5-on-5 goal scorers on a per minute basis over the last 3 years. And the Detroit bottom 6 it's bad. Like, and it's, especially without it, assuming Seider and Edmondson aren't going to be on the ice, they are bad defensively. Because Colorado's on the board here tonight and they are super expensive, there are going to be a lot of people looking for very cheap lines. Toronto 3 is 8,400. I don't think you have to 3-man stack, but if you want to do like Cowan Robertson, Roy Robertson, something like that, I think that's perfectly fine here. Like, Toronto 3, using them as a filler for, expensive Pittsburgh or expensive Colorado is probably what I like best on the Toronto side. On the Detroit side, like, I'm almost tempted for a power play stack. Like, listen, the Leafs penalty kill over the last 5 weeks has been one of the best in the NHL, second by goals against per 60. But if you look under the hood, 5th most shots, 5th most shot attempts, and 5th most expected goals against per 60. It's the goaltending that has saved them. And we've seen it over and over this year where teams had a great goaltender for 4 or 6 weeks, and then things just go completely off the rails. Just look at the Minnesota Wild over the last month, right? I mean, just look at Colorado recently for another example. This Detroit power play since JVR got there, 12.7 expected goals, 13.4 actual goals per 60. That's like, it's probably like the low end of like an Edmonton top power play unit, what we would expect from Edmonton. Like, they've been that good. And, with JVR being as cheap as he is, he's still only 4,200. Like, you can power play stack Detroit top power play fairly easily, especially with all the cheap options that are on the board here tonight. If I were to play an even strength line from Detroit, it would be the top line, just because you're right about Larkin and Raymond. In their minutes without Finney this year, 64 shot attempts, 3 expected goals per 60 minutes. So, Dylan Larkin, 3 shots per game over his last 10. He's starting to come alive a little bit. I don't mind a Detroit power play stack. Like, if you want to just play the top line, take off
Casper.
Jeez, why did I have a brain fart there? Take off Casper, put on JVR. I think that's perfectly fine. It's the Detroit power play guys I like best in this game. I think Toronto 3, though, is fine, whether as a full stack or some sort of 2-man out of them, if you need something really cheap to go with your Colorado stacks.
Anaheim Ducks with a 2.6 total. Heading into Colorado, the Avs have a 4 total. Ducks going McTavish, Kreider, Strome, Granlund, Seneca, Killorn, Paling, Jeffrey Veal, Cutter, Gauthier. Hell yeah, Ducks. Avs going McKinnon, Netchis, Lehkonen. Nishushkin's back on the second line with Nelson and Colton. Olofsson down on the third line. He is power play 1, though. That top line for Colorado 1 is 23,600 bananas, which is really expensive. 42.4% top 2 stack, though, which is bonkers. 19.7% projected ownership. Like, if you want to leave them at 23,600, there are plenty of good lines that will fit with them. And Lehkonen is a very good 5-on-5 player. This line has been very good offensively, obviously. In a very large sample, there aren't any matchup concerns coming back at you from the Ducks. If you cannot fit that 23,600, you can leave off Arturi Lehkonen, add in Victor Olofsson. That line now becomes 20,900, and that is much more manageable. Olofsson, he still might only play 14, 15 minutes down on that third line, but let's be real, like, you're playing him for the power play, and let's also be real, the Ducks' bottom 6 is atrocious, so, like, maybe he doinks one at 5-on-5 too, but, if you can't afford the 23,600, Olofsson over Lehkonen. If you want to make it super atrociously expensive and you want to go double center, you could go Brock Nelson over Lehkonen, and that's 24,800. Then the Toronto 3 would definitely be coming into play then. But, there are ways to do this here. I don't have a ton of interest in the second line as it is. They are excellent, don't get me wrong. But this is an excellent power play spot. So, like, I want McKinnon and Netchis and, work in either Olofsson or Nelson, depending on your price points. I guess you could do a Colorado 2 stack and MME just because they have been so good at 5-on-5 and, there's no matchup concerns. But, like, doing it in single entry, playing Colorado 2 without McKinnon and Netchis is like cutting off your nose to spite your face. Like, I just want the power play guys as many as I can. So it would be Colorado 1, Colorado power play, and MME just because how good Colorado 2 is. They're fine. On the Ducks side, it would probably be Granlund, Seneca, Killorn. Like, they've been really good in a 50-minute sample, 13,700. Still not awful for their roles. 4.8% top 2, 4.7% projected ownership. Looks like Scott Wedgwood is going to be starting. He's been fine. Obviously, he's not as good as Blackwood, but he's definitely better than Trent Miner. So I'm not running out to play Ducks here, but if I was going to play Ducks line in MME, it'd be Granlund, Seneca, Killorn.
Yeah, as for Colorado, like, we say it over and over. The one thing that Colorado hasn't done well this year is put together a good power play. Now, it has been better lately. I was looking at their last 20 games, 11.7 goals per 60 minutes. That's kind of what you would expect from this power play. But generally speaking, this year, with Victor Olofsson on the top power play unit, 8.8 expected goals, 7.7 actual, like, those are below average numbers. Like, the Colorado power play legitimately over the course of the season, almost in every single iteration has not been good, like below average, and not good for Colorado or what we'd expect them to be, like not good compared to the rest of the league. It's actually kind of insane. The problem is like, the Ducks take a ton of penalties over the last 5 weeks. Anaheim, 5th most times shorthanded per game over the course of the season, 3rd most times shorthanded per game. And then you look at Colorado, 3rd most power play opportunities per game over the last 5 weeks, 2nd most power play opportunities per game over the course of the season. Like, they might get 4 or 5 cracks at it here tonight. That's why I kind of like the idea of taking Lehkonen out and putting Olofsson in. Like, the thing is when Lehkonen doesn't get top power play time, especially when their top 6 is relatively healthy, which it is. Like, they're still missing Landeskog, obviously, but it's relatively healthy. but Lehkonen might only play 16 or 17 minutes. Now, it's 16 or 17 minutes where 13 or 14 of them are going to be next to Nathan McKinnon at 5-on-5, which is kind of where you want to be. But I think you can take him out and just put in Olofsson and just ride for the power play stack. And then if you do that and you want to play Makar on top of that, then you can actually afford it, right? I mean, you're going to be punting a lot of roster spots after, but you can do it. So I do agree. I would probably take out Lehkonen and put in Olofsson. I think Colorado 2 is fine, but it would be more of like a 20 max thing for me, where I would have them, maybe once or twice, just because they have been so good. As you mentioned, 3.8 expected goals, 80 shot attempts per 60 minutes. Brock Nelson, 10 goals in his last 10 games. I don't know what the hell's going on with him. They don't get a ton of ice time, but at that price, you don't really need it. But yeah, it's the Colorado top line. Like I said, I would probably take out Lehkonen and put in Victor Olofsson. On the Anaheim side, listen, like, I don't mind that Seneca-Granlund line, like, at all. We've said it for like the last few shows. The Colorado top line has not been good defensively. It's why they were broken up before Landeskog got hurt. Now, Trent Miner, I think he shut out Columbus when Columbus was on a road back-to-back or something like that. Other than that, 2 goals against Washington, 7 against Nashville, 4 against Toronto, 2 against Ottawa, 4 against Tampa, 2 against Florida. Like, they're not getting shelled. I mean, they got shelled against Nashville, but they're giving up goals. And the Colorado top line, their last 20 games, 3.1 expected goals against, 63 shot attempts against per 60. Seneca, Granlund, and Killorn are playing like 19 to 21 minutes. So this is a line that's 13,700 going against there's still no Devin Taves, and he is the defensive presence on the top pair for Colorado. So that Anaheim, Seneca, Granlund, Killorn line is going to get a good 5-on-5 matchup, and they're going to get a ton of minutes for 13,700. Like, I honestly don't mind them. Like, if you're putting in like some sort of Toronto power play, maybe Utah power play or something like that, and you do need a 12, 13K line, I think that Anaheim, Seneca, Granlund, Killorn line is in play in any kind of format here tonight. But obviously, it's the Colorado side I prefer in this game.
Lehkonen is not on power play 1. Victor Olofsson has his spot. Philadelphia Flyers with a 2.6 total. Heading into Utah, the Mammoth have a 3.3. Flyers going Dvorak, Konechny, Zegras, Cates, Mitchkov, Brink, Couturier, Tippett, Barkey. Utah going Schmaltz, Keller, Krause, Hayton, Peterka, Cheeks, McBain, Genther, Carconi. Let's start on the Flyers side here. They have a low total at 2.6. None of these lines are really getting ownership here. The top line, 2.2%. The Tippett line, 2.3%. The Brink line, 1.8%. Their best offensive line is Dvorak, Konechny, Zegras. The problem here is they're going to be facing Schmaltz, Keller, Krause. 80-minute sample, they have been excellent defensively. Like, these new iterations of the Utah lines are good defensively, except for the Genther line, which really isn't a shock. So for that reason, I would go down to Couturier, Tippett, Barkey. They have been excellent in a 106-minute sample, 3.3 expected goals for, 70 shot attempts per 60. So, like, it's a high pace. They're controlling the play. They're generating a bunch. They're only 11,500 going up against the McBain line in a very small sample, giving up 3 expected goals against per 60. But it makes sense that they're the worst defensive line of the 3 there. So I would go to Couturier, Barkey, Tippett. I guess, like, if you did go to Dvorak, Konechny, Zegras, and MME, it's fine. You know, they've been excellent offensively in a 220-minute sample, so they're fine. But my preferred line would be Couturier, Tippett, Barkey. On the Utah side, like, that Dvorak line, good offensively, bad defensively. Schmaltz, Keller, Krause, an 80-minute sample, 4 expected goals, 4 per 60, 84 shot attempts. controlling the play bigly. You get Keller and Schmaltz on the top power play unit. You're shooting on Sam Urson, who outside of last game when we stacked against him has been atrocious. I do really like Schmaltz, Keller, and Krause here at 17,000 even. They're coming in at 8.6% projected ownership with a 12.1% top two. So you're getting positive leverage there. I understand if you want to go to McBain, Carconi, Genther, they have been unbelievable in the 3 games they played together at 13,700. It's fine. But for me, I want to get that Dvorak matchup, and Schmaltz, Keller, and Krause are going to see that, and they have been excellent in 80-minute sample. So I think there's 3 playable lines in Utah, but my favorite is the Schmaltz line, and on the Flyer side, it would be Couturier.
Yeah, I mean, I'll start on the Utah side, but I'll talk about them defensively. I'm not sure, if it's necessarily the lines that have been great defensively or the defense pairs, because pretty quietly, Nate Schmidt and John Marino have been absolute monsters this year on the same pair. 2 expected goals against per 60, 1.8 actual goals against per 60. And for some reason, they don't get used that much in a shutdown role. They send out Sergachev and Durzi.
They've been bad. Yeah.
I know. But, they do get some shutdown minutes, but they're not the primary shutdown tandem. But either way, that pair has been excellent. And the third pair of Ian Cole and Nick DeSimone, even better, 1.8 expected goals against per 60, 51 shot attempts against per 60. Those guys have been tremendous. Now, Sergachev and Durzi have been pretty leaky defensively, which is the issue. They don't do that thing. They don't do what a lot of teams do, which is this top pair plays with this top line when they're at home and goes to shutdown matchups like Detroit does that, or, Carolina will do that with Slavin and Stahl, so on and so forth. But so it's kind of hard to pin down exactly what pairing is going to go where, but that's why it gives me a little bit of interest in the Flyers top line, Konechny, Zegras, Dvorak. So I do think they see a little bit of that Sergachev-Durzi pairing. That Flyers top line, 2.8 expected goals per 60 over their last 15 games. Travis Konechny, point per game in that span. They're playing 18 to 20 minutes. The thing is there's a bunch of lines in that price range you can go play. We'll get to the Utah side in a second. We talked about the 2 Detroit lines. We'll get to Washington a little bit later. The Toronto top line. I think there are just other spots I'd rather go. The Flyers for me in general is probably just MME only. If I were to play a line, I think I agree with you on Tippett, Couturier, Barkey, just because they have been really good together in over 100 minutes. 14 to 17 minutes for a line that's 11,500. That's basically all you need. I don't care about power play correlation from the Flyers side at all. So, Tippett, Couturier, Barkey, I guess. But I think the Flyers top line, if you're 20 max and above, I wouldn't X them out directly. I wouldn't chase them, but I wouldn't X them out directly. It's the Utah side, obviously, that I prefer here. The problem is Utah power play is pretty bad. This current iteration with Logan Cooley hurt, 7.8 expected goals, 5.9 actual goals per 60. That's Philadelphia Flyers-esque. So this isn't in a spot where the Flyers penalty kill is not good, but this isn't in a spot where I'm running out to play the Utah power play guys. I'm not doing Keller, Schmaltz, Genther or something like that. That's not my interest in this game. The way I'm treating Utah is we talk about secondary stacks. It's maybe I'm playing Detroit 1 and I want another 16 or 17K line to put in with them. It's okay, then I will go and consider Utah 1. Utah 1 has been great together with Krause on the top line, 85 shot attempts, 3.5 expected goals. I think that's where playing with Durzi and Sergachev helps. They're getting 18 to 20 minutes. Krause has 10 points in his last 10 games. Obviously, most of that's skating on the top line. They're getting 18 to 20 minutes of ice time. With positive leverage here, it's hard not to like Utah 1. They've been really good in a small sample. Even Krause is contributing. I'm not really worried about any of the matchups from the Flyers side. It's Sam Ersson starting. They're getting 18 to 20 minutes with positive leverage at home and at 3.3 total. Like, leaving Genther off is always a bit scary. You know, we did see that third line go absolutely bananas. If I didn't play Utah 1, Utah 3 would be my second choice. That, you know, the second line with Peterka and company isn't super appealing to me. 2.9 expected goals in their time together. It's like they haven't really done a whole lot. That third line has been great in a small sample. Like McBain and Carcone, regardless of who's been there, was Krause earlier, have been able to generate offense. They haven't really been able to finish, though. Dylan Genther can finish. Like, Utah 3, I think, is in play. But for me, this is a Utah 1 game. They're getting good ice time. I think the 5-on-5 matchups are perfectly fine, especially if they go out against that connecting line, which is giving up 3.2 expected goals against per 60 over the last 15 games. And they're shooting on Sam Ersson. That's a whole bunch of check marks for me for Utah 1.
Agreed. Pittsburgh. Penguins, 3 total. Heading into Calgary, the Flames have a 2.9. Excuse me. Pittsburgh going Crosby, Raquel, Rust, Novak, Malkin, Chinnikov, Kindle, Brazeau, Mantha. Flames going Kadri, Greedon, Zari, Backlund, Sharangovich, Coronado, Huberdeau, Frost, Farabee. All the Flames lines have negative leverage. Back on Coronado, Sharangovich, 4.6% top 2, 9.1% projected ownership. Kadri, Zari, Greedon, 4.2% top 2, 8.1% projected ownership. The Frost line, 1.5 top 2, 1.9% projected ownership. Here's the thing. Like, if they were like excellent offensively, sure, but like the Kadri and Greedon together, awful. Back on Sharangovich, Coronado, couldn't score in Spearmint Rhino. Frost, Huberdeau, Farabee, not generating fuck all. The thing is, like, Pittsburgh sucks defensively, so it's like, what do you even do here? I'd probably, if I had to, I just don't even want to play Flames. Like, it would be one-offs probably, and it's not a good power play matchup, so it's like, why even bother? Like, I don't know, like, one-off Matt V. Greedon because he's 3K playing next to Kadri, fine. Like, there really isn't anything on the Flames I want to play, especially with negative leverage. If there was a line combination that was actually playing well, going up against one of these bad defensive Pittsburgh lines, sure, but like, none of these lines are playing well. So I'm probably out on Calgary here. Pittsburgh doesn't really excite me either because they're missing Erik Karlsson, their best puck mover. And now their best puck mover is, I don't know, outside of, like, Letang's not even playing, right? He's out too, right?
I think he was a game time decision. I'll go double check on that.
Yeah, I mean, like, if Letang is out, there's legit no one who can move the puck. And Pittsburgh 1 is still 20,500, 25.2% projected ownership, or top 2, 13.9% projected ownership. But it's just like, who is getting them the puck? It looks like he's out, right? Letang is out.
They said he was only on the ice for a few minutes today and then left, so I'd assume he's not playing.
Yeah, Brett Kulak is running power play 1. And he's on the top pair with Parker Wotherspoon. Then they have Ilya Solyov with Ryan Shea, and then Graves and Connor Clifton. Like, you can stack the whole Pittsburgh blue line for less than, like, Philadelphia 3. That's how, like, it's a who's who of what. So, like, I don't know, man. Like, I'm not playing Pittsburgh 1 at that price. I know Calgary's been terrible and they have a bad penalty kill. But, like, is the Pittsburgh power play going to be any good with Brett Kulak running it? Like, I don't know. If anything on Pittsburgh, I'll go to that third line, Kindle, Brazeau, Mantha. It's a small sample, but they've been excellent. They're cheap enough where a 2-man you can fit them with Colorado. So, I don't want to spend over $20K for Pittsburgh with without their best 2 puck movers, and they have no one else to move the puck. So it would be something on pit 3 for me. And I'm just straight up out on Calgary because these lines suck.
I mean, the thing is like I would act if Carlson and Letang were playing, or like just one of them, honestly.
I would play pit 1.
I would probably have some interest in Pittsburgh. And listen, anything can happen in a single game. But the fact that you can take Arturi Lehkonen off the Colorado top line and put in Olofsson, and they come in at basically the same price as Pittsburgh, and Colorado's at home against Anaheim as opposed to Pittsburgh on the road without their top 2 defensemen against Calgary, like it, and much higher top 2 stack, higher ownership, but a lot more positive leverage. Like I would just go play Colorado. You know what I mean? So like I'm out on Pittsburgh 1. Like if I'm playing an expensive line, I'm going to Colorado. I'm not playing Pittsburgh here tonight. Question is whether to play any of the Pittsburgh depth. Like I kind of agree with you on that Pittsburgh third line. They don't have a big sample, small sample of 77 shot attempts, 4.5 expected goals in their near 40 minutes together. Like Brazo and Kindle have played, reasonably well together this year. Now they have had like a bunch of different line mates play with them. Like they were the wingers for Evgeny Malkin earlier in the season, but 90 minutes with just Kindle and Brazo on the ice, 68 shot attempts, 3.8 expected goals per 60. A lot of that time would be spent with depth defensemen as it was. Now, the problem is like with Letang and Carlson out, like everybody moves up 2 slots or whatever. So all of a sudden the depth defensemen they're playing with are guys from the AHL. I mean, it is what it is. It would be Pittsburgh 3, some sort of 2-man from that third line, like, Mantha Brazo 2-man, Kindle Brazo 2-man, like something like that. That's absolutely where I would go. Like I'm not playing the expensive guys from the Penguins here tonight. And even the Calgary penalty kill has been getting better, right? Like they started off like the first month of the season wasn't very good, but it's climbed to like the top 10 over the last 6 weeks. So it's not even a great power play spot for the Penguins overall, especially where Calgary doesn't take a ton of penalties. So I'm out on the expensive Pittsburgh guys. For me, it's like pit 3. It's another one of those, like if you're playing expensive Colorado, you need a cheap 2-man to throw in with the Avs or something like that. Pit 3 is one of them. On the Calgary side, like I think for me, the only line that I genuinely have interest in is Backlund, Coronado, Sharangovich. Backlund and Sharangovich on that new quote power play 1, whatever that means in Calgary. They play 16 to 19 minutes at the low end. Sharangovich and Coronado like 16, 17-ish. Backlund up towards 19. That's not bad ice time for a line that's 12,400 with under 10% ownership. But they're going to see pit 1, right? And without the top defenseman being able to move the puck from Pittsburgh, like I imagine, even though Backlund's defensive numbers without Blake Coleman on his wing are worse, like the offensive numbers are still fine. 72 shot attempts per 60 for that line, and they're 50 plus minutes together. So I do think they'll be able to create something against Pittsburgh. I'm not worried about the Pittsburgh goaltending. I genuinely think the line I have the most interest in this game is Backlund, Coronado, Sharangovich. I think Pittsburgh 3 is certainly in play if you need some cheap guys for your Colorado stacks. In general, I think this is one of the games where I'll be looking for my defensemen or my goalies rather than my forwards.
Yeah. Zach Whitecloud and Kevin Ball near min price playing like a bajillion minutes. Whitecloud in his debut played monster minutes, but we'll get to that at the end. Let's get to a fucking barn burner here, baby. New York Islanders with a 2.9 total heading into Seattle. The Kraken have a 2.7. Islanders going Barzell, Duclair, Lee, Richie, Heineman, Cat Noises, JG Pajot, Holmstrom, and Drouin. Kraken going Beniers, Eberle, McCann, Stevenson, Catton, Tolvanen, Wright, Schwartz, Capo, Kako. For the love of God, can we stop sending Chandler Stevenson out against top competition? Does this organization have anyone who looks at advanced stats?
I mean, remember when the expansion team was put together, they did hire like a pile of public like hockey analysts, like people that I would read all the time. It's one thing to hire them and have them work for you. It's another thing to listen to them. Like those are two different concepts.
Yeah. I mean, like 150 minutes, Stevenson, Tolvin, and Catton. 4.3 expected goals against per 60. 1.6 actual because the goalies have been playing with their hair on fire. But like, if they're going to send that Stevenson line out against Barzal, Lee, and Duclair, like, listen, you want to talk about bad defensively, Barzal, Lee, and Duclair right up there with the best of them. They are atrocious. But like, offensively, this is pond hockey at its finest. And my God, have they been high event. So like, they're 14,700, 9.6% top two, 13.5% projected ownership. Like, playing negatively leveraged Islanders on the road makes me absolutely nauseous. But like, they're going to play most of their minutes against Chandler Stevenson, who couldn't stop a nosebleed with a soldering iron. So like, Islanders one has to be in play at their price here. Duclair has been white hot. Maybe that's not the best term, but he has been. I don't really have interest in their depth. I don't care that like Heineman and Ritchie are on the top power play, even though it's a good power play spot. It's like they're 96. I guess you could do Ritchie Heineman 2-man if you're trying to power play stack Colorado, but it's like, for me, it's Barzal, Lee, and Duclair, 14,700 against Chandler Stevenson. I'd play me, you, and Haas against Chandler Stevenson. We'd probably hit the score sheet. On the Seattle side, it's probably just Beniers, McCann, and Eberle. The Islanders are atrocious defensively as well. The one thing that is saving them is Sorokin. He has been unbelievable, but, Beniers, McCann, Eberle correlated on a power play for whatever that's worth with Vinny Dunn. It would probably be them as a filler. They're 13,400. Like, that's not a bad price for a fully correlated line that's going to play heavy minutes. So it would be both top lines here. I prefer the Islanders side just because the Chandler Stevenson matchup is too good to ignore.
Yeah, I mean, it is a really good matchup. But, like, Beniers, Eberle, and McCann going against these second and third lines from the Islanders.
Just as good, yes.
I was going to say it's not that much worse. And Beniers, Eberle, and McCann have been really good together, like going back to last year. I mean, last year, that line of McCann, Beniers, Eberle, 3.8 goals per 60 minutes at 5-on-5. This year, 3 goals per 60 minutes at 5-on-5. Like, that's pretty good offense. Like, it's tremendous for Seattle. And it's really, really good when looking at other top lines across the league. 13,400, so they fit in. Even if you did like a McKinnon, Natchez, Olofsson line, you can put them in with them. They're gonna get decent minutes. Like, McCann will probably be at the low end at like 16. At the high end, you'll get like Beniers and Eberle are gonna play 18 to 20, 19 to 20 minutes. Like, they're leaning on the top 6 heavily because they're actually in the playoff race, right? Like, the third line is getting like 12, 13 minutes and the fourth line even less than that. So it's the top 6 getting a ton of ice time. Like you said, perfectly correlated on the power play. McCann, 11 points in 13 games since he came back from his injury. Against this middle 6 from the Islanders, I think it's a great matchup for that Seattle top line. I genuinely like them here tonight. The one concern, when you face the Islanders, is the same concern that you always have when you face the Islanders, and it's Ilya Sorokin, right? Like, if Ilya Sorokin decides to, just drop his nuts on the game, then it's lights out. But this is a great matchup for a top line that has been legitimately very good offensively for a season and a half now. So I do like Seattle 1. It's the only line from Seattle that I have any interest in here tonight. And I agree with you with the Islanders. It's the Islanders top line. Like, Kyle McLean line 2. Come on, man. Like, I know you guys have a couple injuries. Things can't be this bad.
How dare you disrespect John's son?
Is that who it is?
John McClane, Die Hard. That's who I was going with.
Oh, I was thinking of
the writer.
Oh no, I was thinking Ron McClane. I was like,
Ron
really, the guy from Hockey Night in Canada as a kid in the NHL. Anyways, yeah, that Islanders top line. You talk about pond hockey: 78 shot attempts for, 74 against per 60, in over 65 minutes together. The thing is since Bo Horvat got hurt, Matt Barzal's been playing like 48% of his 5-on-5 time with Matt Schaefer. That's exactly what you want. I think it's both top lines for me in this game. And because they're not matched up against each other, like I think you can game stack here, which you might want to if you want to play Cale Makar here tonight. I mean, Jacob Chikrin maybe, but certainly Cale Makar at 8,500, you're going to need some cheaper lines. But as both top lines I like in this game, I would probably lean to the Islanders side just because I don't like facing Ilya Sorokin. But I think both top lines are very firmly in play here, especially looking at their prices.
Yeah. I mean, playing with Schaefer, that kid's an alien, man. Oh, my. Let's get to the last game here. Washington Capitals with a 3.3 total heading into Vancouver. The Canucks have a 2.8. Washington going Strome, Ovechkin, Beauvillier, McMichael, Protas, Leonard, Dowd, Frank, Miro, Shevchenko. New top line for Vancouver. Pettersson, DeBrusk, Kane. Nothing else matters unless you really want to play David Camp, Drew O'Connor, two-man on the second line. If you are power play stacking the Avs, I would just not do that. But it is what it is. I do like the Caps here. Surprise, surprise. Nothing scares me from the Vancouver side at all. That top line with Beauvillier there, 3.5 expected goals, 3.8 actual in 267-minute sample. I can't imagine Pettersson, DeBrusk, and Kane are going to be anything great defensively. Camp and O'Connor with Besser there aren't going to be great defensively, I don't think. McMichael, Protas, Leonard have been very good in a very small sample. You get Leonard on the top power play unit. I guess if you wanted to turn this into a power play stack, you could leave Beauvillier off, add in either Leonard or Frank, go about your day. If you wanted to go to that second line, I think it's fine. I'd just find a way to go to the top line or make it a power play stack. So that's where I'd be on the Washington side. On the Canucks side, if anything, top line. Do I really want to play them? Not really, but it's not like Washington has been great defensively. It is going against Logan Thompson. I guess in 20 max, having one Pettersson, DeBrusk, Kane is fine. Kane's only 4K. He actually probably fits in on that line better than Besser. So, MME for the Canucks, but Jesus Christ, man. Canucks.
Yeah, I mean, there's not a whole lot. I mean, this game is a mess from a lineup perspective. Like Alex Ovechkin playing with Nick Dowd. It's like, man, what exactly is going on here?
Oh, I didn't even see those lines.
Yeah, that's what they had last game. I think it was Ovechkin, Dowd, and Ethan Frank. Dylan Strome was playing with Beauvillier, and I mean, it wasn't Protas, but anyways, it is the McMichael Leonard line I would probably go to. I mean, we'll see exactly how they decide to line up. Their last game was with Justin Sourdif, so if Sourdif is playing, then Leonard, McMichael, like that line. I was looking at that. That line sampled together, not that great offensively, but getting good minutes, like 16 to 19 minutes because of the power play time. Has anybody seen this Vancouver depth? Like you talk about, you don't think that David Kampf line is going to be good defensively. I can tell you that David Kampf line is not going to be good defensively. You know how I know that? Because it has David Camp on it. So like, if you want to do a Michael Leonard 2-man, I think that's perfectly fine. Ethan Frank's been quietly on a pretty good tear. 5 goals, 29 shots in his last 10 games.
He's like the guy in the Mighty Ducks who doesn't know how to stop, but he's super fast.
Is it Mendoza?
Yeah, Mendoza.
Mendoza. anyways, like if you want to do like a one-off Frank, because he's getting good ice time, he's getting power play time, like I think that's okay. But it is, the McMichael Leonard line that I would lean to from Washington going up against the depth from Vancouver. I don't mind the Vancouver top line. I almost prefer, like, I think I agree with you, almost prefer it with Evander Kane. Not because I think much of Evander Kane. It's because Brock Besser's just been terrible this year. Like absolutely awful. And, I was looking at Pesser and DeBrusk. Since Quinn Hughes got traded, with those two on the ice, they're at 66 shot attempts, 4.1 expected goals, 2.9 actual goals per 60. That's fine. You know what I mean? The Washington penalty kill, below average this season, bottom 8 in the league. Below average over the last 5 weeks, bottom 8 in the league over the course of the entire season. Vancouver top power play has been, they've definitely had some bad games since Quinn Hughes left, but they've largely been fine. I think it's Vancouver 1. I kind of prefer, I definitely prefer on the Vancouver side. I prefer the Washington side just because I don't like facing Logan Thompson. It's kind of like the Islanders' problem with Ilya Sorokin. So it's Washington 2 for me that I like best in this game overall, but I do think Vancouver 1 is in play here because they're reasonably priced, and it's not a bad matchup. Washington has not been good for a couple months now.
It is pretty funny to see all these mainstream media heads talking about how a team would absorb Pettersson's $11 million contract. Like, keep trying, big guy.
Pettersson's agent's working overtime right now. That ain't happening.
Let's talk about defensemen here. We got 4 guys in the top range. McCarr at 8,500, Chychrun at 6,800, Mo Seider 6,200, Matt Schaefer 6K. Easily it's McCarr. Like, it's a ridiculously good spot for him. Just, he's 8,500. He's $1,700 more than Jacob Chychrun, who I have second. Like, Jacob Chychrun's having a ridiculous season. He honestly might score 30 goals this season, which is like a McCarr thing. But so like, if you can't get up to McCarr, I'm good with Chychrun. And then after that, I would go Schaefer, then Seider. But if I can't get up to McCarr, my top choice would easily be Chychrun.
Yeah, McCarr does have the highest projection by, nearly 3.5 DK points, highest point per dollar projection of any defenseman over 6K here tonight. I think all 4 are in play for different reasons, right? Like, the Seider with that good Detroit power play, point per dollar isn't great, but he's coming in with single digit ownership. Like, I do prefer McCarr of the expensive guys. But Jacob Chychrun going against that Vancouver defense is that's tantalizing. So for me, it goes McCarr, Chychrun, then Schaefer. Mid-price range, like Brandon Montour, always, I shouldn't say always, but usually puts up good peripherals. Not a bad matchup for it against the Islanders.
He's out, isn't he?
Is he out tonight?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I just saw Seattle lines, and he's out.
Okay, well, if he's not playing, then it's Vince Dunn for sure.
Yeah. Let me just check that quick.
Mikhail Sergachev. I think you can play Sergachev.
Oh, no, sorry. He's in. My bad. I'm an idiot.
Okay. I didn't know. I hadn't been checking Twitter since we came on the air, so I thought maybe I missed it.
Yeah, he's with Alexiak. I just can't read. I got to go back to getting hooked on phonics, but please continue.
Okay. Montour, Sergachev, I think is fine just because it's in case the Utah power play does anything, it's a good matchup for it. Morgan Riley, I think, is okay just because at 4,300 he's reasonably priced, but I'm not super high on him. I think in the mid-price range it's Montour, Dunn, and Sergachev. For the cheaper guys, like Philip Hronik has the top point projection of any defenseman under 4K on the board here tonight. Josh Manson is just behind him, and then Tony DeAngelo is just behind him. So by raw point projections, those would be the top 3. I do like Matt Roy here tonight. I always like him, and basically as long as he's around 3,500 or less, I think Roy's always in play. Going up against Vancouver, every single Washington defenseman that's skating is in play, but Roy specifically. Under 3K, Jake McCabe has a pretty big projection for a defenseman priced under 3K, so he's at the top. Kevin Ball, you mentioned him earlier. He's certainly in play in that home matchup. And Zach Whitecloud in his first game played over 22 minutes for the Flames. So I think, if you don't want to play ball, Whitecloud certainly in play here. Oh, I guess like the Pittsburgh guys too, right? Sorry. Brett Kulak is under 3K. Parker Wotherspoon is under 3K. Ryan Shea's under, he's mid-price. Those guys are all in play if you need somebody under 3,000.
Yeah, Kulak may play like 24 minutes with top power play time.
I think he's going to get quite a bit of ice time because he was playing 22 or 23 minutes a game with Letang in. Like he might be in line for like 25 plus here tonight.
Oh yeah. Let's talk about these idiots who play goalie. God, like it's like there isn't really a goalie that stands out to me that I want to play here tonight in the top range. I get like Vejmelka's been better. He was awful at the beginning of the season, but like 8,300 for Vejmelka against the Flyers, slow pace. Like I just don't want to do it. Logan Thompson, I guess, is fine at 8,100. I'm more in on the guys under 8K, like Ilya Sorokin, 7,900. John Gibson, 7,600. I even don't mind Philip Grubauer. He's had a great season. He's 7,500. Stu Skinner against the Flames at 7,400. So it's really these mid-range guys. I don't really want to go to these cheap guys like Urson or Dostal. I guess you could take a flyer on Dostal just because he's under 7K. But I really don't think I'd go below Stuart Skinner if I had a choice.
Yeah, I mean, the thing with goalie tonight is like, Dostal at 6,900, maybe he does have a big game, but it's like you're not playing. I don't think you're going to roster him against Colorado, right? Like if you're playing Colorado 1, you're not going to put Dostal in net. I mean, maybe if you're playing Pittsburgh, you need a $6,900 goalie, but why else would you really need one? I don't know. Anyways, Mackenzie Blackwood, or it's Scott Wedgwood, sorry, you said, right? Scott
Wedgwood's confirmed.
Yeah, Blackwood has the top projection. Wedgwood wouldn't be far off once he gets put in. So the Colorado goalie's at the top. I mean, I have Vejmelka second just because I think it's a pretty good chance for a win here. But I agree with you. Like the concern is like 3 goals against on 19 shots and they win 4-3 or something like that. You know what I mean? I hate to say it, but Stuart Skinner has the second highest fantasy point per dollar projection here tonight. So I guess of the cheaper goalies, Stewie Skinner at 7,400 makes a lot of sense. I mean, Grubauer at 7,500. If you're not playing the Islanders, I think Grubauer at 7,500 makes a ton of sense. Just because the one big weakness for the Kraken is the penalty kill, and that Islanders power play, especially without Bo Horvat, is something awful. So I kind of like the Grubauer, Skinner. I mean, Sorokin obviously at 7,900 as well. I think I'm kind of in like, I agree with you. I'm in like that 74 to 7,900 range rather than the super cheap or super expensive guys.
Yep. We will be back tomorrow. I think it's an 8, 7, 6, 9. I don't know. Somewhere between 6 and 10. We'll check it out. I'll find out tomorrow. I love being surprised. But who are you liking for your hat trick pick?
I'm going to go with a guy that I think his line is very much in play here tonight. And I think you can just roster him even though he's not on the top power play unit. Lawson Krause.
I legit am probably not playing him, but it's sticking out in my head, and my intuition hasn't been wrong since 1987. So I'm going grip it, rip it, and Owen Tippett.
Dueling hat tricks in that game. That'd be interesting.
Stranger things have happened.
That's true.
But we will see you guys tomorrow. Good luck, everybody, tonight. Hopefully we're leading off the show talking about how you won all the cheddar.
Good luck tonight, everyone.